Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, Is there a correct way to live? Well, actually it's based on a question someone asked in the Spanish channel, and the question is there a correct way to live, Nick? This question suddenly came to mind. The correct way to view a thought is when it doesn't provoke any emotion? Are emotion and identity the same thing? The correct way to live would be like a computer, which is a container only of data, devoid of sentimentality? Is feeling equals a human equals identity equals error? Okay. First of all, there's no correct or incorrect way to live, because life simply happens. See, I'm not in charge of living it correctly or incorrectly. Life is unfolding. The question is, who am I? If I believe that I'm a separate entity, then all these ideas of whether there's a right way to live or wrong way to live come into play. Now let's just look at the questions, a short question, so let's look paragraph by paragraph. It says, the correct way to view a thought is when it doesn't provoke any emotion. Okay, the thought itself does not provoke emotions. The interpretation that we give to a thought usually is what generates emotion. But also emotions can come up, feelings can come up out of nowhere. So really there's not a particular rule of thumb of that. So again, it's not about a correct way or not correct way. It's just simply about noticing. It's just about looking. It's about non-judgment. So a thought appears, and it's just that. If it's not giving any meaning, it continues on its journey. An emotion may show up, may appear. It's just that. If it's not giving any meaning, once again, it continues its journey. But the question is, who is the one seeing or watching the thought, and who is the one feeling the sensation? See, when you come to the root cause, which is I am, then thoughts appear, sensations appear, but I remain as I am. This is where the videos are pointing to. The I am has no correct or incorrect way of being. It's just simply being, and you are. Never losing sight of that. Because the question, again, it suggests that there's a me that has a right and a wrong way to live. But there's no me. This is where we're heading to. This is where we're pointing to. All that there is what is. Then he continues. Are emotion and identity the same thing? No. Because emotion is something that appears, identity is what I give to this seeming I that now wants to take ownership or claim the emotion to be mine. Basically, what we are has no identity. You see, the moment we give to what we are a sense of identity, that sense of identity is what appears as a separate thing, without a seeming personal, without a person, without an individual, there's no identity. You see? So the first error is to believe that this I am is a personal thing. The sense I am is beingness. But the moment you overlook, or you said you should superimpose to the sense of feeling of being, a sense of being something or someone, that's when identity is born. You see? I am a person. That's identity. Now you take that identity and you give it all kinds of, labels. I am a good person, you see. I am a bad person. I am a male. I am a female. I am Chinese. I am Puerto Rican. I am American. I am European. You see, so the identity is I am a person, and then I begin to color it with all these different labels. Continues. The correct way to live would be like a computer, a container only of data, devoid of sentimentality. Again, no, there's no, we simply are. That's it. We simply are. Sentimentality, feelings, sensations appear as part of the palette of colors and textures. You know, a computer does not have a brain. It's just simply it's a device which it's fed information and it just spits out information. The human being, on the other hand, the seeming human being, which seems to have the capacity of intellectualize and give meaning to and sense and feel or whatever, may seem to have all this sort of sentimentality, whatever, but it's just because how this apparent individual is designed. Someone who, I don't know if you call it a sociopath or something like that, may not have any sense of sentimentality. I don't know. I'm just stepping into territory that I don't know. But you see, so in the end, it's not about becoming cold or something as a computer. No, it's about just being, living the experience with everything that comes along with it, but seeing through all of that. So if there's time you're supposed to cry, you cry. If there's time we're supposed to feel in a particular way, the feeling shows up, but we don't hang on to it. Once again, we don't give meaning to any of that. We just simply see it as it is, a movement of energy that happens, but the question is who I am. When I'm resting in the fact that I am, now the movements of energy are no longer distractions. That's the difference, you see? So as long as there's an appearance of me being a body and a person and, you know, feeling sensations and everything seems to occur, that's fine. That's just basically part of the human experience. If anything, beingness has no sentimentality or feelings or sensations or anything. It's a space in which everything seems to appear, you see. If anything, I would say this, it would turn you into more compassionate, you see, where you can understand why people feel the way they do because they believe the content of the mind. And when you're conscious of what you are, then love extends itself to all, meaning that because all of them are you, see, so now you're seeing different parts of yourself conditioned in different ways. You become more conscious, more patient, more compassionate, more loving, more kind. Why? Because you understand, you see. If you look the example of Jesus, for example, Jesus was very compassionate, but he didn't buy into people's fears or whatever. Now, I'm talking within the context of the dream. In truth, if there's no past, it's just what is, then all the characters, Buddha, Jesus, and everything, well, also cannot have existed. But within the context of the dream in which we appear to be, well, those seeming images or personalities or whatever you want to call it, they serve sort of like a guide. See, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Ramana Maharshi, and so they're sort of like like living pointers, living examples. And what they were pointing to is don't believe the content of the mind. You see, the mind would be what is referred to in the Bible as the devil. And that's it. He's not a person or a something apart from God, The mind, believing the thoughts, that would be the devil. That would be the temptation, okay? We're seeing through that, you see? So now, once again, when you are resting in that, you can see why people suffer. Because they're believing the content of the mind. But you're not believing the content of the mind, you simply live in peace. You experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. And if there's someone who's ready to let go of the suffering because life is pointing to the recognition of what is, they may be drawn to you and you may find yourself sharing the recognition of what I am in whichever way you're supposed to do so. You see? Sometimes may appear in ways they may seem dualistic, but it's how life is using you in order to serve. For example, a psychologist who is very conscious knows that this is all a projection, but people come to them not believing it's a projection. People come to them believing this is real. So a psychologist who's very conscious or a therapist who's very conscious, even though it knows it is a projection, it needs to take them where they think they are, and little by little, through the interaction, letting them to the fact that this is all a projection, and it has nothing to do with who they are. You see, so again, you still function in the same way. You don't go out there telling anybody this is an illusion, it's not real, whatever, because I mean, who would be the one saying that anyway? You see, it would be another sense of identity, the identity of the one that knows. You see, so in the end, it's very simple. There's no right or wrong way to live. There's no correct or incorrect way, because once again, you're not the doer. So life is unfolding. But now we're seeing through the veil. You see? Is to recognize the fact that I am, resting in the I am, so at least we can see, or it can be seen through the veil, which is nothing but thoughts interpreting. That's all there is to it. Right now, if you don't identify with the content of the mind, if you don't believe the thoughts that seems to appear, you're resting in beingness, which you're doing it anyway, no matter what you're doing. Even when the mind is engaged and confused, you're still being. You see, we're pointing to that right now. Are you not being? The sense of existence, are you not existing? Within the context of this seeming appearance, of course. Because existence in the real world, in the real terms, I mean, existence, capital E, would be wholeness, or it would not be projection. But within the projection, we'll call it existence of, feeling that you're alive. Okay? Okay. But not alive as something or someone. It's just aliveness. This is what I mean. It's pure aliveness. So right now you are, you see. If there's no identification with the thought or the sense of I person, then you simply are. This is where this is all pointing to. That is the never changing, always present, non-conceptual beingness. See? And this is not theoretical, this is very practical. Now, notice how the thoughts do appear, about who I think I am, judging and interpreting and translating everything, and that's fine. That's their job. Their job is to protect this sense of identity, right? So notice how thoughts just appear, but it's not you who's noticing it. It's just that noticing is what happens, and then you rest in the beingness. You see, this is where this is pointing to. We're pointing to what is. We're not pointing to what it will be. Right now, you are. You're resting in what is. As that becomes obvious, then yes, thoughts appear, sensations appear, situations appear. You're not stone cold. You're simply seeing through all of that without being distracted by any of it. You see, that is what is meant by living in the world, but not of the world. You see, and the person finally says something here, like a little equation. He says, is feeling equal a human, equal identity equals error? No, the other way around. First is the error. The error is what gives rise to a seeming human. You see, the belief that there's a human, a me, a personal thing. Then human is what gives rise to identity. Well, actually, human and identity could be kind of simultaneous, but again, the first error is the belief I'm a separate entity. And then that entity is given an identity, you see? And then, consequently, is where feeling shows up. Because the feelings seems to be appearing to someone, see? Otherwise, if you're just simply being, yeah, feelings may appear, the image of the body appears and all this stuff, but you simply are, okay? But within this equation, the first error, which is referred to as the original sin, is the belief that I'm a separate entity. So you are, right now, you are. You are. This is the sense of existence. This is the sense of being, I am. You see, that's perfectly fine, no big deal. The problem, this is the error now, is when the I am is translated into I am this. You see, I am something. See, that's when identity is born. And of course, then feelings, sensations, and everything has something to attach to. See? Without identity, without this sense of being a person, then, like I've said before, feelings, sensations, thoughts, they're just simply passing cloud, but they have no effect on what I truly am. And well, this is what came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.